Welcome, welcome, welcome.
A wonderful day to all of our listeners joining us on Anna's English channel. I'm your host, Anna, and today we are opening an old, beautiful photo album. We aren't just looking at pictures, we are looking at the words we use to tell our stories. We are reviewing the entire family of the past tenses.
Hello, Anna, and hello to our amazing community. I'm Leo. You know, the past is where all our best stories live. But sometimes, telling those stories in English feels like a puzzle. We often ask ourselves, did I do it? Was I doing it? Or had I been doing it? Today, we are going to untangle those threads and show you how they all work together to create a rich, clear history.
Exactly, Leo. The past isn't just one flat line. It has layers. Today, we use the simple past for the main events, the past continuous for the background, the past perfect for the earlier events, and the past perfect continuous for the long efforts that led up to those moments. By the end of this hour, you will have mastered the art of storytelling.
I can't wait to get started. It's about more than just grammar. It's about sharing who we were so we can understand who we are now. Let's start our first 3-minute journey with a topic everyone remembers, our first day at work.
Leo, take me back. Do you remember the very first day you walked into a professional office?
Oh, I remember it so clearly. It was a rainy Tuesday morning. When I arrived at the building, my heart was beating so fast. I was wearing a suit that was slightly too big for me, and I was carrying a new briefcase that was completely empty.
We all have that too big suit memory. What was happening when you entered the office?
Everything was moving so quickly. People were talking on phones, and the coffee machine was making a loud noise in the corner. I stood there for a minute feeling lost. But then I realized that I had prepared for this moment for years.
That's the key, isn't it? Even though you were feeling nervous in that moment, the work you had done in college gave you strength. I remember my first teaching day. Before the students arrived, I had already checked my notes 10 times.
You were ready. It's funny how those office memories stay with us. But usually, before we get to that first job, we have to survive the most stressful part of life, the big move to a new city.
Oh, moving. I remember when I moved to London. Before the moving truck finally pulled up to my new door, I had been packing boxes for 3 nights without sleeping.
3 nights? You must have been exhausted. Had you already found a roommate before you moved in?
Yes, I had. I had met a girl named Sarah online, and she had promised that the apartment was quiet. But when I arrived, I discovered that a construction crew was building a new house right next door. They were making so much noise that I couldn't hear my own thoughts.
That is a classic moving disaster. Before you unpacked your first box, you had already realized that life in the big city was going to be loud. I had a similar shock. I had been dreaming of a balcony with a view for years, but my first apartment only had a view of a brick wall.
But we stayed, didn't we? Because we had been looking for adventure for so long, we didn't mind the brick walls or the noise. We were just happy to be there. It reminds me of the first time we traveled abroad, all the plans we had made before we even left home.
Travel plans are the best until they go wrong. I remember my first trip to Italy. Before I boarded the plane, I had been studying Italian for 6 months. I had even memorized the names of all the best pasta dishes.
So you were an expert. What happened when you landed?
Well, as I was walking through the airport, I noticed that everyone was looking at a large screen. I realized that my connecting train had already left. I had misread the schedule because I had been rushing too much at home.
Oh, Leo. So there you were, standing in a foreign country, alone. Had the sun already set when you found a hotel?
Yes, it had. It was dark and I was feeling quite hungry. But then I found a tiny restaurant. The chef was cooking something that smelled like heaven. Even though my plan had failed, the night ended perfectly. It was better than the perfect trip I had been imagining.
Sometimes the best moments happen when the plan breaks, like meeting someone special. Leo, had you already met your best friend before that Italy trip?
No, I hadn't. I met him a year later. It was at a party. When I walked in, he was telling a joke to a group of people. Everyone was laughing. I could tell immediately that we would be friends.
I love those instant connections. I remember my first date with my husband. I was waiting for him outside a cinema. I had been standing there for 20 minutes, and I was starting to think he had forgotten about me.
Was he late?
Yes, but as I was turning to leave, he ran around the corner. He was carrying a single red rose, and he was breathing very hard. He explained that his bus had broken down. Because he had been running for 10 blocks, I couldn't be angry with him.
That is so romantic. He had been trying so hard to reach you. It's the effort that matters. It reminds me of the first time I tried a difficult hobby, like playing the guitar.
You play the guitar? I didn't know that. Had you been practicing for a long time before you played your first song?
For months. My fingers had been hurting every day, and I had been wondering if I was just not talented. But one evening, while I was sitting on my balcony, the notes finally made sense. I had finally conquered that one difficult chord.
That click moment is the best. I had a similar experience with marathons. Before I ran my first race, I had been training for a whole year. On the morning of the race, I felt so ready because I had already put in the work.
I remember you looking so strong in those photos. While you were running, were you thinking about the finish line?
All the time. I had been dreaming of that medal for so long. When I finally crossed the line, I realized that the me who had started the training was a completely different person from the me who finished. The struggle had changed me.
It always does. And often those changes happen when we are in school, during those long nights of studying.
Oh, those school nights. Leo, did you used to be a good student?
I tried. I remember one final exam in history. For 2 weeks before the test, I had been reading every book in the library. I had even written my own summary of the entire 19th century.
You were so dedicated. What was happening in the classroom during the exam?
It was so quiet. The only sound was the clock on the wall. It was ticking so loudly. As I was writing, I felt a sudden wave of confidence. I realized that I knew all the answers because I had been preparing so thoroughly.
That is the best feeling in the world. I remember a similar moment when I got my first high grade. I ran home to show my parents. I had been hoping for that A for such a long time. They were so proud because they had seen how hard I had been working.
Those small victories build our confidence, and they lead us to the biggest victory of all, learning this language.
Yes. Let's talk about the journey of English. Leo, when did you first feel that you could actually speak this language?
It was about 6 months ago. I was talking to a traveler in a cafe. Suddenly, I realized that I wasn't translating in my head anymore. I was just speaking.
That is a huge milestone. Had you been practicing every day before that happened?
Yes, I had. I had been listening to podcasts, and I had been writing in my journal every night. I had even started dreaming in English. All those hours of effort had finally created a bridge in my brain.
I love that. To our listeners, if you are feeling frustrated right now, remember Leo's story. Before he reached that breakthrough, he had been struggling just like you. Your brain is doing the invisible work right now. One day, you will look back and realize how much you had already learned before the click happened.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. And looking back helps us see how far we have come.
As we close our photo album for today, let's look at the threads we have used. We used the simple past for our milestones, the race, the exam, the first day of work.
And we used the past continuous to set the scene. The rain falling, the heart beating, the clock ticking. It makes our stories feel alive.
We added the simple past for those earlier moments, the bags we had packed and the notes we had checked. It gives our stories logic.
And finally, we celebrated the past perfect continuous, the training, the studying, and the dreaming that had been happening in the dark. That is the tense of the human heart.
To our listeners, your life is a beautiful story. Use these tenses to tell it. Don't be afraid to look back and say, I did it, and I had been trying for a long time. We are so proud of your journey.
Thank you for being such wonderful companions today. I have been enjoying this conversation so much. I already feel more connected to my own past.
Me too, Leo. Thank you everyone for listening to Anna's English channel. Until next time, keep looking back with kindness, keep moving forward with courage, and keep speaking. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.